morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to take a look at some surprising cards that are jumping up in price. Some cards which are spiking in price, which I didn't really see coming. Well, except for one. So the Raging Bolt, the special illustration rare that came around in Temporal Forces, yeah, that's a big deal. I showed you the most expensive Pokemon cards that were released in 2024 the other day, and would you believe it? Yeah, that one's jumping up quite nicely. Obviously, that one's jumping up quite nicely. Partly, it's one of the best artworks in the Scarlet and Violet era, and I believe that very strongly. But partly, it's Raging Bolt. And I know Raging Bolt is falling out of favour a little bit, especially over in Japan right now. And obviously, we're going to catch up with them soon and have their format. But make no mistake about it. Good playable card, great artwork, love T-Zero's art on this. You add it all together, and you end up with a very, very, very good card. This one spiking up in price doesn't surprise me. If you look at the last 3 months, for instance, it's gone from a $70 card up to a $105 card. Honestly, pretty much exactly a 50% rise. Not quite, but pretty gosh darn close. 50% up in the space of 3 months is noteworthy. It's jumping up really well. But again, you've got a really playable card. And we've got a very lovely piece of art. And, you know, we've just had Surging Sparks. And Surging Sparks is Scarlet and Violet 8. This is Scarlet and Violet 5. So we're coming up for a year since this set released. So it's not some kind of super old set or anything like that, but it's getting on a bit, and over time, after the initial hype, we get prices dropping, and we do tend to see these creeping back up again. So this makes perfect sense. The thing is, I had a look at this, and then I started having a look at all the other cards from Temporal Forces, and what I'm seeing above the board is pretty much straight just jumping up. Temporal Forces as a whole, as a set, is going up. And now sometimes the raw numbers are a little bit smaller. I'll go through a whole bunch of examples in a minute. Sometimes they're not. But it's very relevant to me that we see this jumping up quite nicely. Because here's the thing. This is not some out-of-stock set. So when I have a look at... Well, let's take 151. I showed you the other day that 151 singles are spiking, but that shouldn't really surprise anybody because 151 is becoming a nightmare to find anywhere. Sure, the Blooming Waters collection is coming out, but, I mean, that's going to sell out instantly. We all know it is. And over in the UK, we did briefly have a restock of mini tins that lasted a lot longer than they probably should have done over at Sports Direct, of all places, which is probably why the restock lasted longer than it should have done, because most people weren't checking Sports Direct. Maybe I was. But the point is, that is a set which is getting impossible to find at retail. So obviously, the singles prices are going to start jumping up. That is not the case when we look at Temporal Forces. Firstly, we can go and have a look at the Pokémon Center, and we can have a look for Temporal Forces, and what we find very simply is, oh yeah, it's in stock. Now, okay, fine, the Build and Battle Kit is out of stock. I'll give you that. And then obviously the Pokémon Center exclusive Elite Trainer boxes they never last too long after the release of the set. But we've got booster boxes, we got booster packs, we got booster bundles, we got free pack blisters, all in stock at the Pokemon Center. Now, and I'm not going to show you the one for the US, just take my word that the US is exactly the same. They got the same things in stock and the same things out of stock. You don't need an identical screenshot with the prices in dollars to show you that. Oh, wait, it's not identical. I do have to show it to you. In the US, you guys have actually got Build and Battle boxes still in stock. You lucky ducks. We do not, unfortunately, over here in the UK. Boo, hiss, etc. My apologies, I almost lied to you then. Well, I kind of did, but I corrected it quickly. But the point is, as I've told you before, when these sets are starting to sell out, they're going to sell out on the Pokemon Center Online last. Because they're going to have the best stock because it's from Pokemon directly, right? Okay, that makes perfect sense. The thing is, it's not just that it's in stock on the Pokemon Center, it's that you can pick these boxes up pretty cheaply. This is not some out-of-print set where, a couple little places have got some stock, but anywhere else you're going to really pay through the nose. Nah, mate, I can go on Zatu Games right now, and I can be picking a box up for 102 quid. Okay, it might go up to like 105 with postage. Oh, and apparently you get a free fun pack as well. Not sure that's really going to move the needle. For many people, they're the free card packs where you get 2 commons or uncommons and a reverse holo. But hey, you know what? Better than not getting a free fun pack now, isn't it? And that's just an example. I'm not sponsored by Zatu Games. I'm not endorsing Zatu Games. I'm just telling you that that is just an example. There's a million different places that have got these in stock for below retail right now. We're not talking about 1 or 2 little places here or there. And if we go and have a look over on eBay in the UK, have a look at Temporal Forces booster boxes, again, you're not paying, well, you're paying about retail, honestly. They're not hideously cheap, annoyingly. And to be fair, a lot of the cheaper boxes do tend to be from the UK, weirdly. But you can be picking it up for like $150, which is basically retail. And again, there's going to be plenty of other places that have got it at a decent price. It's not an out-of-stock set. Cannot stress that enough. It is not an out-of-stock set. And yet, the singles prices are getting silly. Because I've shown you Raging Bolt. Let's go and have a look at a bunch more, shall we? Walking Wake. Same kind of deal. 3 months ago, it was down at like a $43, $44 card. Now it's up to $52. And sure, that's only like an extra $8, $9. But the fact that it's going up is kind of relevant because most sets isn't what happens. If you look at most of the other recent sets, what you'll find is that all the cards are going down. I'm not saying we're going to start seeing a huge spike in every single from Temporal Forces, but I'm saying we are starting to see a kind of like a sustained jump. Now, to be fair, Iron Crown has actually gone down a little bit recently, but it went from 55 up to 80 and dropped down to 65. So it took a big jump, although again, that's really 1 or 2 sales warping things a little bit according to TCG Player, but then it's settling down at about a $65 card. So once again, we see it going up. Only about $10 in the space of 3 months, time it's come back down again, but still pretty relevant. And I know Iron Crown was a pretty hyped card initially. People liked it when it first came out. That is not a card that's really doing anything right now. And yet, the prices are getting to the point where people are very much liking it. Gouging Fire jumped up from like a $38 card to a $50 card. That is roughly a 1/3 jump in the space of 3 months. Again, we did see it jump up a little bit higher and then drop down again, but it's still about a 1/3 jump. And we do have a player in Europe, Luke Kirkham, lovely British dude, who has been taking this to a bunch of regionals and having pretty good runs with it. And I know it's seeing a little bit of play here and there. Gouging Fire is not a bulk card. It is a very nice EX. But let's not pretend it's some kind of huge meta card. It's just lovely T0 artwork. Iron Leaves, this is one of the starker ones initially because it went from $30 up to $38, but pretty much overnight it jumped up and stayed there. Again, we're talking $8, but that's still nearly a 1/3, like 30% odd of a jump. And it's interesting because all the cards are doing this. I'm basically going through the most valuable cards in the set right now, starting with Gouging Fire, which is the biggest one. I'm not skipping any over here. I'm not deliberately leaving out a couple that are going down in price. Go and check out a bunch of other sets. This isn't happening to a bunch of other sets. Now, Morty's Conviction has been a little bit all over the place, truth be told. It's been going up and down. It's kind of ended up at about a $36 card after being a $36 card. But it went down and it's kind of gone back up again. This one, bit less reliable in terms of a pattern than the other ones we've been seeing. If you take away all the bumps, it's actually pretty much just flat. But it's still interesting that it's gone down and up again. It's not dropping down. And at this point, for most sets, we would expect them to be going down. The illustration rare Ghastly, one of several illustration rares which is popping off. This one's gone from like a $21 card to a $34 card. This one's gone up more than 50%. And again, we got a smaller starting point from which to work here, I grant you. But that is a very big jump. We've had a few illustration rares lately that are jumping up in price. I might have to have a look at this in more detail later on. But the point is, this Ghastly is making some waves. It's a $35 card as an illustration rare. That is pretty relevant. Bianca's Devotion has gone from about a $25 card to a $32 card. Not the biggest jump, but a sustained increase. And that's a bigger story for me here. This set, which nobody's really hyping as a big set. A set which is good for playability, and we know he's got those lovely special illustration rares, but I can prove that it's not a particularly big hyped set because I showed you how it's readily available, and in the UK at least, significantly below retail very easily. In the US, it's more around retail, but still, if it was a super hyped set, this wouldn't be happening. Oh, and I'm going to show you Iron Boulder here. Went from like $18 down to $17, back up to like $18, $19. This entire y-axis here is $2. I love Iron Boulder. I love the Pokemon. I love this card. I need to pick this card up, but it does make me kind of a little bit happy that with all the other cards going up, Iron Boulder's like, I want to join in, but really it's gone down $2 and then back up the same $2. But bless him, he's trying. And this is interesting to me. This is something I didn't see coming. When I started having a look at this, the idea that Temporal Forces as a whole is jumping up is weird, because it's not a set anyone really expected to end up being a big set. It's not a set that's been hyped and talked about as a big set moving forward. It's not a set which is rare or difficult to get hold of, and yet I just showed you the top like 10 cards in the set. Okay, 9, but still it totally counts. And all of them are going back up. Well, they're all going up. A couple of them are going back up, but they're all going up. I think this is a set that a lot of people are sleeping on, and this is very interesting to me. By the way, since it seems weird to only look at the top 9 cards, number 10 is Full Art Gengar, which, would you believe it, has jumped from a $12 card up to a $20 card, a near 50% increase in the past 3 months. This is happening across the entire set, and I am not seeing people talking about this, and I think that's a little bit strange. But now I've told you about it, and now I'm talking about it. So now it's over to you guys. Are you hyping Temporal Forces? Is it a set that you like? Have you picked up your singles? Have you noticed it's a set that's starting to jump up in terms of singles? Tell me anything you're thinking in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. And get a shout out on the channel like the lovely Derek, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now and is a very lovely person. So shout out to Derek for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross and you've been watching PTCG Radio.